My name is Gavin, and this is my report on Left Behind by Tim LaHaye.
Alright, my name is Matt. I did the book Insurgent by Veronica Roth.
Hi, my name is Max Hendricks. I'm reading the book The Hunger Games Catching Fire.
My analysis of the title, Left Behind, is that it speaks of the rapture and the coming of Christ and those who are left behind because they have sinned.
Okay, well, the definition of insurgent is to rise in active revolt, and I believe this fits the book title because the plot of the story involves a rise in revolt against the government involving the 5 factions from the first book, Divergent.
I thought Susan Collins chose the title The Hunger Games Catching Fire because in the first book, Katniss, the main character, is known as the girl on fire. But when she goes on the carrier, riding around the area, her dress catches on fire. I think it also means that the intensity between the districts and the capital are actually catching on fire. And a rebellion is about to increase in intensity.
Some literary elements that get the story better, or make the story better, are the setting. And one quote is, "Having just cut through the cloud bank, the plane allowed passengers a view of the Chicago area." Also, the type of conflict. My type of conflict was man versus fate, I interpret that because according to the book, everyone who is left behind has sinned, and everyone who is gone is with God. Rayford, Bruce, Chloe, and Buck must all try to get back in good graces with God. They must change their fate and survive the 7 years of tribulation.
One of the literary elements in Insurgent is when it describes the setting, and the quote is, "The train car bumps over the rails, and Marcus, Peter, and Caleb stand by the doorway." And this describes the train car that the characters are all riding in. And the second one is external conflict, and the quote is, "We stopped the simulation." And the simulation that they stopped caused all of the Dauntless soldiers to kill the abnegation. And this is a conflict between the abnegation and the brainwashed Dauntless.
One of the literary elements in the book, The Hunger Games Catching Fire, is characterization. The way the book shows characterization is by different types of people. Some of the opposites that adds a little more interesting scenes into the book. An example would be characterization between Katniss and Peeta. They are different because they come from different backgrounds, which shapes up their character. Katniss comes from a poor background where they struggle to get food every day, while compared to Peeta, who comes from a bakery background which isn't rich, but they don't struggle to get food every day. Another literary element that the book shows is type of conflict. There's 5 different types of conflicts. There's man versus man, man versus wild, man versus himself, man versus society, and society versus society. In this book, the type of conflict they have is society versus society. The districts are under control under the capital, which they do not like. Example would be after the 75th Hunger Games. Their plan with Haymitch, the new games coordinator, and some of the tributes is to get Katniss out of the Hunger Games alive. Because if Katniss is alive, so is the rebellion.
Some connections that people can make with this book is that, like the author, who might be a minister, might connect and see that they think this is actually going to happen, or those who have sinned and want to repent might learn something from this book.
One way that this book can connect to the real world is if there ever was a government uprising like there is in the book, the citizens would have to go into revolt just as the characters in the story did. And this book can connect to me personally because sometimes I'll need to revolt, maybe against my parents if I don't want to follow a certain rule that they give me at my house.
It's still going.
One connection some people can have with the Hunger Games is North Korea, because North Korea has Districts 2 controlled by one person. Also, another connection could be when I don't agree with my parents, I rebel against the capital, which could be my parents.
Okay.
Rating of the book would be about a 4-star. It was a good book with a lot of page turners, but I found myself not wanting to read it often enough. And
I would give this book a 4-star rating. I found myself wanting to put the book down and was losing interest at some points in the story. Other than those small points, the book was great.
I would give my book a 4-star rating because overall I think it's a good book that catches people's attention and forces them to read on it. The reason why I gave it a 4-star, not a 5-star, is because I'm not much of a drama reader, which this book includes. But also drama adds more intensity to the book, so I did enjoy this book.
target audience, I would say, would be science fiction or like apocalyptic book readers. And I would put the age about high teenagers, young adult. So
I believe that this book could be directed towards teens and / young adults. That is the target audience. It's kind of like a teen love story. This book could also be read by young adults because there is some violence and warfare that takes place in this book.
I think anybody would like this book, but I think it's more targeted toward teenagers because teenagers like to read about drama, which this book includes. Also, I think this could be targeted towards any gender because both have intense fighting that boy teenagers enjoy, and the drama adds more intensity, and the main character is a girl that the girl can relate to.